A warm welcome to you, my dear children. Um, we meet again with the Unit 8 last chapter or last part of the lesson, the Petty Cash Book. The Petty Cash Book. Right? Something that we haven't discussed up to now. We are discussing about the Petty Cash Book from today onwards, from this session onwards, and hopefully we'll be able to finish it within several sessions. First of all, children, you should know what petty cash expenses are. What is this petty cash book? Well, petty cash book is used to record petty cash expenses. And what petty cash expenses are, maybe you know, maybe you don't know. For you all who do not know, who do not have any idea what petty cash expenses are, children, briefly, very simply, petty cash expenses means the small daily regular expenses or payments which a business has to pay. Got it? I'll write it here, no worries, but take it to your head. Small, very small daily expenses, regular payments which a business makes in the day-to-day business operations. Okay, to make it even more clearer, let's take a definition, or let's write it down. Small daily payments or expenses. Daily payments or expenses. Which occur regularly, which occur or which incur regularly. Now, what is the meaning of incur? Means happen. It means happen. Something that comes up. Regularly? Often. These expenses happen often. Very often. Very often. And these expenses are, these payments are done very often, regularly. But these payments are very small payments, small amounts, like 20, 30 rupees, 50, 100 rupees, maybe 150, 200, 250. Always these payments are done for different various things, for different purposes, right? We will learn for what purposes do we make these payments. But petty cash means, petty cash expenses means this. Okay, small daily payments, expenses which incur regularly. Okay, in a business, children, there is always a separate person allocated. There is a separate person, a person who is responsible to handle petty cash expenses. There is a separate person to handle petty cash expenses. He's called the petty cashier. What? You have never heard this word? A petty cashier? Petty cashier. Well, now you learn then. In almost every business which is maintaining a proper set of books and accounting records, there is a main cashier and a petty cashier separately, having separate responsibilities. There is a main cashier and a petty cashier. Petty cashier is handling these expenses. Main cashier is handling main cash incomes and expenses. Well, when I say main cash, you must be wondering, oh, main cash, right? What are main cash expenses then? Children, the main cash expenses, main cash transactions simply means cash transactions which are done in the general usual running of the business, but in larger amounts, significant amounts, material amounts, which should be considered, transactions done in the day-to-day running of the business, right? These transactions are considered as main cash transactions, and main cash transactions are at the hand of the main cashier. Okay, he who has the responsibility, the main cashier, right? Maybe sometimes under the main cashier there's another petty cashier who is handling the petty cash transactions, right? So the main cash is handled by the main cashier, petty cash transactions are handled by the petty cashier. Most of the time petty cashier is having this type of a locker box. He carries this locker box. The cash which he handles, the petty cash which he has, is kept locked in this locker, and he issues money, he pays for petty cash expenses to different parties, to different people. So he's always on the run. He's a busy guy, petty cashier. Yeah, right. So what is the petty cash book? The petty cash book is the book which is used to record petty cash expenses. Petty cash book is the book which is used to record petty cash expenses, petty cash transactions. Most of the time the petty cashier handles the petty cash book, right? There is a system called petty cash imprest system. If you haven't heard, if you don't know these things, take the practical, the real life system or the way in which these things happen. I'm going to give you the real scenario, the practical way in which the things happen, right? So it's easy to take a picture into your heads, right? When you know how it happens, when you can see how the business and accounting sir explained, how the way that sir explained in DP education, that is the way it happens in this business. When you go to a business, you can see, and if you can refer to the way or the things that you learn when you see the real life scenario, that's how you get the real understanding about these things. I mean, when you go to a business, when you see a petty cashier, when you ask him questions, when you meet this person that we are talking about, if he says, This is the way, Puta, this is the way it happens. I'm keeping my petty cash money, the money which is provided to me by the main cashier. He provides me money, a certain sum of money to do my petty cash expenses in a month. I'm keeping that money, petty cash money, in this locker, or in his whatever the locker he has, right? Because it's not his money, it's business money. Yeah, he can't keep the money in his pocket. Okay, he can't keep the money in his pocket, right? He has to keep the money in a locker or a box. And when I have to pay, when I have to pay for petty cash expenses to different people in the business, I issue a voucher. Writing the reason and the amount, and with my signature, I issue a voucher for that amount. If the petty cashier that you meet, if he says the same things that we learned here, that is the important thing. Now you have a real understanding about these things that we learn in theory. That is the important thing. That is why I'm always trying to give you the practical scenario. Okay, this petty cash book is handled by the petty cashier. He uses the petty cash book to record petty cash transactions. Just like the main cashier has the main cash book, which we learned in the previous session, in our earlier sessions, and how the main cashier or any person who is responsible, how the cash book is arranged, how the cash book is prepared. Just like we learned. In that manner, the petty cashier prepares the petty cash book. And you must be aware that petty cash book is a little different to the cash book. It's a little bit different. We are going to learn how to prepare the petty cash book, right? Soon. Here, children, what is the petty cash book? The prime book. That is a prime book, which is used to record petty cash transactions of a business. There you go. Just like the cash book. Cash book is used to record all the cash transactions, cash receivings and cash payments. This is the petty cash book. This is used to record all the petty cash transactions in a business. Yeah. Now, here we have a very simple demonstration on how a petty cash fund is operating, right? Just like I told you, children, just like I mentioned a few minutes ago, there is a fund, a certain amount of money, which is handled or which is kept by a petty cashier. Start of every month, at the start of each and every month, this fund, this amount of money, the sum of money is refilled, because during the month the money, the fund reduces little by little when the petty cashier spends, when the petty cashier pays for the expenses the amount decreases. Next month, again the amount is, the sum is refilled. This sum or this fund is called the petty cash imprest. At the beginning of every month, the main cashier provides a certain amount or sum of money for the petty cashier to keep. He just don't keep it, he spends it. That's what happens. He spends for petty cash expenses, for trishaw charges, for bus fare, to buy a Harpic and a toilet brush. Small things that a business needs, you know, to pay for the laborers who are working hard, to provide them with plain tea and some buns or something, you know, in the evening. 150 200 rupees is spent for trishaw fare, for bus fare, to send letters if needed, to buy stamps and envelopes and these things, to send letters. These things are the petty cash expenses, right? Likewise, the petty cash expense, it is shown here. A petty cash fund is used only for business expenses. I told you that this money is not, it doesn't belong to the petty cashier. It's not his personal money, it's business money. Okay. A petty cash fund is used only for business expenses, and this is how he uses. This is the petty cashier, children. This guy, can you see this person? This guy is the petty cashier, and this is his petty cash fund. There you go. This is the petty cash fund. Okay, handled by the petty cashier, right? Let's say he has 5,000 here, 5,000, the petty cash fund given to him at the beginning of the month. From that 5,000, he spends for petty cash expenses as needed. He spends for petty cash expenses as needed. From this 5,000, he spends for petty cash expenses as needed. See, for transportation, for services such as for these masons, you know, plumbers, bars fellows, you know, small work is done by these laborers. For them, this petty cashier spends as needed. Let's say he spent, during the month, he spent 1,500 for transportation, for services such as for to pay laborers and this small workmen. For them, he has spent 2,000. For supplies, he has spent 500. Supplies means office supplies like stationeries, stapler pins, and you know, those type of small supplies. And for deliveries, he has spent another 200. Altogether, how much has he spent? $1,500 plus 2,000, that is 3,500, plus 500, 4,000, plus 200, 4,200 he has spent. $4,200. This is the total petty cash expenses for the month. Got it? That's why they say petty cash fund is used for business expenses, right? For business expenses, but small daily expenses. Petty cash here, petty cash fund. This petty cash fund, children, this is known as the imprest, petty cash imprest. The fund which he keeps with him, the petty cash here, the fund is known as the imprest, petty cash imprest. That is the total amount of money or the fund which he keeps. It's the petty cash he keeps. It's known as the imprest. Sometimes it is known as the float, petty cash float. Imprest or float. Don't use both names, use one name. Imprest or float. If you are requested to define or explain imprest, a float, you should say the petty cash imprest is the amount of money or the fund which is kept by the petty cashier for petty cash expenses during a certain period of time. Okay. Imprest. Imprest. Okay. Now the same picture that we have referred to, we used, I have given you on this slide in a slightly descriptive manner, in a more wider, broad manner, to explain some more things. Okay. Imprest, you should, when you say imprest, you are talking about the petty cash float or the fund which is kept by the petty cashier for petty cash expenses. Petty cash expenses, right? In this imprest, children, there can be any amount of money. It differs. This amount of money which is in the imprest, it differs from business to business. Okay, it depends on businesses. Sometimes in a larger business, in a large scale business, the petty cash imprest, the float can be 100,000 or 150,000 even. Yeah, it depends on businesses. It depends on the business. In a smaller business, like a business which is having only like one branch, a small scale business, in that type of a business, maybe in the petty cash imprest, they are keeping like 10,000-15,000. Okay, the imprest amount could differ. But the thing that you should realize is, imprest is the amount of money which is handed over by the main cashier to the petty cashier. The amount of money which is handed over to the petty cashier by the main cashier. Okay, that is what we have shown from this arrow, children. Yeah. From this arrow we have shown, see, this is the main cashier. She's the one who's providing the money to the petty cashier. That amount which is handed over to the Petty cashier is known as the imprest. That is from the imprest only, from that money only, petty cashier carries out the petty cash expenses for the month. Okay, it is the duty of the petty cashier to handle the petty cash expenses and to maintain the petty cash book, to record the petty cash expenses and to handle and to maintain the petty cash book, right? Now there's something more here. What is this? To reimburse petty cash fund. Reimburse. New word. Do you know what is the meaning of reimburse? Reimburse. I'm talking about this, children. Reimburse. What is the meaning of reimburse? This is the meaning. During a month, when the petty cashier spends his imprest money, this money which he is having in the imprest, when he spends the money for petty cash expenses, likewise, okay, he sometimes finishes the entire imprest at the end of the month, or he could he could have a certain balance in the petty cash interest which is not spent. Whatever the case is, the spent amount for petty cash expenses during the month should be returned by the main cashier at the end of that month. That is called the petty cash reimbursement. You got it or not? I'll repeat in a more quicker, simpler manner. The petty cashier has the imprest at his hand. He spends for petty cash expenses such as these expenses, okay? During the month, the total amount which is spent for petty cash expenses should be returned, should be given back to him, to the petty cashier, by the main cashier. That is called reimbursement. Got it or not? I hope you got it, children. Not so very hard to understand, right? That is called the petty cash reimbursement. Reimbursement, this word. Okay. In order to reimburse the money which is spent, all these expenses must be shown for which expenses he, when the petty cashier spent his money, that must be shown by the petty cashier to the main cashier with vouchers. So, when the petty cashier proves all his expenses which he has done during the month with the source documents. What is the source document? Vouchers. With the vouchers, when he has produced the vouchers to the main cashier, then the main cashier provides that amount which is spent to the petty cashier, or reimburse that amount spent by the petty cashier. First of all, the petty cashier must produce the vouchers. For each and every petty cash transaction, the petty cashier must issue a voucher, which is which should be prepared. The voucher should be prepared. The bill, the source document. Yeah, we talked about source documents. Yeah, the source document or the voucher is prepared by the petty cashier, and it is certified by another officer, saying that this is a legitimate transaction. All those vouchers should be collected by the petty cashier and produced to the main cashier. Then only after studying, after going through the vouchers, the main cashier certifies, or he or she knows, confirms that this amount is really spent, and returns that, refills that amount back to the petty cashier at the end of the month. Hands over that amount which is spent. From that amount, the petty cashier refills his interest. That is called reimbursement. Okay, children. Too much explaining, or like not enough? Yeah. So children, this is the part that we have to do some calculations. When we do calculations, you will understand very clearly how the interest is formed and how the expenses are done by the petty cashier, and how the reimbursement is made. Okay, let's go and do some calculations. Reimbursement of petty cash interest. Here it says the petty cashier has to request again cash from the main cashier. Yeah, I told you that. Yeah, petty cashier has to request again cash from the main cashier before the petty cash interest is over. Before it's over, before the money which is kept, the fund which is kept, before the fund is over, when it goes down little by little, again the cash should be, the cash which is, amount which is spent should be requested to refill the fund. Okay, that is called reimbursement. Petty cashier should be given the amount equal to the amount of payments during that time. Okay. With that, the interest will be reimbursed or refilled. Refilled. That is known as the reimbursement of petty cash. The reimbursement of the petty cash interest. It's like refilling, nothing serious. It's like refilling something that was used gradually and something that decreased gradually with time at the end of the month. Refilling the interest is called reimbursement of the petty cash interest. Now we are down to the calculations, right? I know that you like calculations, so we'll go into a little bit of calculations. The petty cash interest. Example, the petty cash interest of the business of Lihini, was 2,000, which means the fund, the entire amount, the total amount that petty cashier has at hand at the beginning of the month to do the petty cash transactions is 2,000. That is 2,000. The interest is 2,000. The following payments were made out of this interest received. Okay. Now we are going to look at the petty cash transactions done during the month. Stationery, he has spent for stationery 250 rupees. Cleaning expenses, he has spent 600 rupees. Entertainment expenses, 400 rupees. Traveling expenses, 350 at the end. Right? That's what you can see, right? 250, 600, 400 and 350. Sometimes people wonder, what are these entertainment expenses? Entertainment, what's happening in these businesses? Are they having fun? Are they showing movies and no, not something like that. Entertainment expenses refers to, normally it refers to usually entertainment expenses means the money that is spent for tea and coffee, you know. Once in a while, when people work hard in these businesses, they need a time out, you know. They go for a tea, they go for a coffee. You know, in the tea room or in the lunch room, there should be some tea bags, milk powder, sugar, you know, the things needed to make a tea or a plain tea, to have a plain tea, you know, once in a while. Not once in a while, sometimes it's like a routine. Every business keeps these necessary things in their offices, in their shops, in their outlets, in their showrooms. The money which is spent for those, you know, tea bags and tea leaves and sugar and milk powder and all, those materials, those things are bought with the petty cash from the petty cashier. Those expenses are normally referred to as entertainment expenses, right? Okay. Right. Now, children, we have a total of 1,600 petty cash expenses. In this business, Lihini's business, the petty cashier has had a total of 1,600 spent. Total petty cash expenses 1,600. But what is his impressed? Now tell me, what is the impressed? Impressed is 2,000. Impressed is 2,000. So has the petty cashier spent all the money, the entire fund for the petty cash expenses? Has he spent? No. What is his balance? Very simply saying, children, if the petty cash impressed is 2,000 and out of that 1,600 is spent, if 1,600 is spent, what is the balance? Remaining amount from the impressed. 2,000 minus 1,600, it is 400. This is the petty cash balance at the end of the month. Clear? Which means the petty cashier still has 400 at hand. Okay? How much now needed? How much is it? How much does the petty cashier need to refill the impressed? Now the impressed has gone down to 400 rupees. All the way down to 400. How much does he need now to refill this to the original impressed amount, which is 2,000? It's the same amount which he spent, 1,600. That is the reimbursement. There you go. That is the reimbursement, children. It is shown here. This is the same example, which is the same example which was in the previous slide, right? Business of Lihini, 2000 is the impressed, and spent amount is 1,600. The balance of petty cash is 400. There you go. Here we are. Here we are. We got the answer. We got this answer. In the previous slide, we got this answer. That is the petty cash balance in hand. Okay. That is the remaining cash balance at the end of the month. So what is the reimbursement? Reimbursement is the same amount which was spent. This is the petty cash reimbursement. Oh, reimbursed in past tense. Reimbursed. Again, the petty cash impressed comes up to the original impressed amount, which is 2,000. This is the original impressed amount. Okay, is this so hard to understand? Tell me. No, simple, very simple theory, very simple calculation. It's nothing. Petty cash balance, petty cash reimbursement to begin the new month, to start the next month, impressed, reimbursed, or refilled. All right. The petty cashier should submit a payment voucher that includes all petty cash vouchers to the date relevant to the petty cash payments to the main cashier for the reimbursement. This is what I told you. This is what I told you, children. This is actually the thing that we discussed in the previous slide. You know, petty cashier should submit payment vouchers. Yeah, we know that. Should submit payment vouchers. Yeah, should submit payment vouchers that includes all petty cash vouchers up to date. Up to date, all the petty cash vouchers which he raised, which he issued for different expenses during the month, up to 31st end of the month, all the vouchers, all the bills should be filed and handed over to the main cashier. Then only the main cashier reimburses that amount which is spent. Which is this. So we can go and start with a question. Right. We have this question. This is from your textbook, children. This is Sarasi Company Limited and the information related to that company. Right. This is from your textbook. You can refer to the textbook and get the question and do it with me. Will you do it with me? It's for you. It's better for you if you do it with me. If you just watch me do it, well, there's nothing for you. For your practice, let's do the question with me. Shall we? Right. Get ready. Let's start. Pause the video. Get your books. Open the book. Go to the Unit 8, Cash Book and Petty Cash Book. Come to the Petty Cash Book part. Right? And get to the activity. Right. Sarasi Company Limited maintains a petty cash book under a petty cash impressed system for making petty cash payments. Particulars related to the petty cash transactions are as follows. Particulars related to the petty cash transactions, all the information are given below. Okay. As at 31st January, children, there is a small date confusion in the dates in your textbook. Arrange it in this manner. As at 31st January 2021, let's say 2021, 31st January 2021, petty cash in hand was 330. 31st January, this is the end of January, okay, starting from January 1st until 31st, this business has been moving on. This business has been carried out until 31st. Now 31st January, there is a balance of petty cash of 330. Okay, 330 petty cash balance with the petty cashier. It means that after all the expenses, petty cash expenses are done during the month, for the month of January, at the very end of January, 31st of January, 330 cash was remaining at the petty cashier. You get it? 330 cash was remaining at the petty cashier's hand. That is the petty cash balance as at the end of the month. 330 was remaining, which was not spent. In the petty cash voucher, total expenses during the month, 1,670. That's the important information. We have a balance of 330. And total expenses during the month, 1,670. All right. Total money, petty cash expenses spent during the month is this much, 1,670. Okay. Right. Questions are given. How much is the petty cash impressed? Let's find out how much is the petty cash impressed. Let's find out, shall we? Okay. Here we go. We're doing the calculations. You do it with me. How much is the petty cash impressed? If end of the month 330 was remaining at hand, okay, clear? 330 was remaining at hand, and during the entire month, 1,670 expenses has been done. Spent 1,670. What was the total at hand at the beginning of the month? That is the impressed amount. What you should do is add 330, the balance, what we should do is take the balance which was remaining at the end of the month, balance, that is 330, and get the total money which was spent during the month, petty expenses during the month, 1,670. Add these two together, and you get 2,000. This is the petty cash impressed of the month. How much is the petty cash impressed? 2,000. Got it? How much will be the reimbursement made by the main cashier as at 31st January? Yeah, that's what they're asking. How much will be the reimbursement made by the main cashier? How much is the amount needed to refill the impressed? How much is the amount needed to refill the impressed? Okay. How much? The amount which was spent. That is the reimbursement. So, how much will be the reimbursement made by the main cashier as at 31st January? $1,670. Got it? Why? The amount which was spent should be given back, should be refilled to get the impressed, back to the original amount. Okay, the total spent amount, the total amount which was spent is 1,670. That is that should be the reimbursed amount. That should be the reimbursement made by the main cashier, given by the main cashier to the petty cashier. Now we are down to the third one, and third one is asking you what? If the petty cash impressed was decided to be increased by 500 on 1st February, that is the next month, on 1st February, then how much will be the value of reimbursement? Well, now you start thinking, all right, the original impressed value is 2,000. Yeah, original impressed is 2,000, and January 31st of January, as at 31st of January, $1,670, the amount which was spent will be reimbursed, that is the reimbursement. And now they are saying, if for the month of February, for the next month, the petty cash impressed is decided to be increased by 500, which means the original impressed amount will not be 2,000, it will be 2,500 with the start of February, with the next month. Okay, if the petty cash impressed was decided to be increased by 500, which means let's mark it, this impressed amount should be 2,500 with the start of February. Okay, with the start of February, 2,500. Then how much will be the value of reimbursement? Now, how much will be the reimbursement made by the main cashier when the original impressed amount was 2,000? It's 1,670 only. Now 500 will be increased. Then to this 1,670, you add another 500. You add another 500. Okay. Let's see how it works. You add another 500 and let's see how it works. amount, right? You get this 1670 and add another 500 to it. What is the answer? 0, 7, 11 and 2. 2170. But the impressed amount did not become 2500. It becomes 2170. So it's wrong, right? No, it's not wrong. Did you forget the petty cash balance which was left? 330. When you add the balance, when the balance is remaining, and it is 330, with that this becomes 2500. There you go. We got 2500, right? We got it. Right, okay. So do you want me to explain it again, or did you understand at the first go, at my first attempt? What I did was I took the original impressed amount, and as the question, the third question states here, the petty cash impressed is decided to be increased by 500. Then this original impressed amount is 2000. When it is increased by 500, it becomes 2500. I got that information into my head, right? The impressed should be 2500 with the start of February. See? With the start of February. With the start of February, okay? Then, 1st February 2021. Then, now that I know that the petty cash impressed should be 2500, I looked at the earlier reimbursement. Earlier reimbursement was 1670. When 1670 was added to the petty cash balance remaining, it became 2000. But now 500 should be increased, so I added 500 to this, the reimbursement amount, earlier reimbursed amount, right? Easy as that. Okay. When I added that 1670 plus 500, the amount which should be increased, I got, it becomes 2170. 2170, right? That is the value of reimbursement, right? Then if somebody thinks, oh, reimbursed amount increased by 500, and the new reimbursement should be 2170, then but the new impressed should be 2500, no? But this didn't become 2500, no? It should become 2500, right? Well, it becomes 2500 when the balance is added. When the balance is added, children, it becomes 2000, this balance. It becomes 2500, yeah, because the balance is remaining. we didn't add it. We should add it, and it becomes 2500. That is the impressed, new impressed. All right, you got it. But that is not the answer. Answer is this. $2,107. This is the answer. Okay. Right. Last question. Last question. They're asking what? If the petty cash balance was 729 as at 1st March. Now, February month is over. The new impressed in the month of February is 2,500, right? And again, there's a question. If the petty cash balance was 729, out of this 2,500, some amount has been spent during the month of February, and March there is a balance of 729. 729. Okay. March there is a balance of 729. That is the balance which is coming from last month. Last month, after all the petty cash expenses are done, 729 is left as at 1st March. Then how much should be reimbursed? Okay, the new impressed is 2,500. New impressed is 2,500, right? Impressed amount is 2,500. That is this one. Okay. And now only 729 is left, is remaining as the balance. How much is spent? That means how much is spent? How much is spent? $1,771 is spent. The spent amount is the amount which should be reimbursed. So, how much should be reimbursed? 1,771. The spent amount in February. This is the amount spent in February. The amount spent only should be reimbursed. So the same amount should be reimbursed. This is the answer to the last question. Done. How do you feel about it? Easy calculations, very, very simple calculations, children. I'm taking time to explain to you how things occur, how things are calculated, how things, are coming, how answers how we come at the answers. Right. I know that these calculations are nothing for you. These are not very complicated things. These matters are not a big deal, not very serious matters. But the understanding is, that is what counts. The understanding is what is important. The understanding of how these petty cash impressed system and the reimbursement and increasing of impressed amount, how these things work. That understanding if you have that understanding, children, that's what counts. That is what is important here. Calculations are so simple if you know how to do it. That's what I have been trying to do, to give you the understanding, the proper understanding. All right, with that, children, we can wind up today's session. We are done with the calculations of petty cash interest, reimbursement, and increasing of petty cash interest. Yeah, so I hope to see you soon. We are going to start preparation of petty cash book, the prime book, and the ledger account named petty cash book. That is coming in the next session. You are going to learn that the petty cash book has a dual role, just like the cash book, as a prime book and as a ledger account. So I hope to meet you. I hope to see you in the next session, children. Thank you very much for being with me. See you soon.